Well, good afternoon, folks. This is Lee, your virtual airline pilot, back with you. Welcome back to the second review of this week in November. It's the 15th of November, Tuesday, 2022. We are looking at Johannesburg, OR Tambo Airport in the Republic of South Africa, Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo. This is a playware scenery by Gaffer Simulations. This is version 1.0.1 currently, and it's for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. I don't think it's available for Xbox. I've checked flightsim.com or flightsim.to. Doesn't seem to be anything there about it. It's currently available for Sim Market, and the good news is it's on sale. I think it was around €19. It's now down. The sale price currently, as of today's date, 15th of November 2022, is €15.12, which equates to $15.62 US, or £13.29 UK. US and UK prices are estimates, and all prices include VAT and tax, which of course may vary depending on your country of purchase. So if you get this for the next couple of days, it's been out for a while. I think it's been out since the end of October. So it's taken me a while to get round to reviewing it. But as I said, now on sale. So if you're thinking about buying it, now would be a good time. So this is a huge airport. It's a vast model, a vast product that I'm looking at. So I'm going to break a little bit with tradition. I'm going to give you the history. There's quite a bit, but I'll run through it. And then we'll look at the runways. And then what I'm going to do is tour the airport and show you the main points, both day and at dusk. A lot of work's gone into this, but at the same time there is quite a bit of reliance on photo scenery. There's an animated train which is brilliant, however the train is far too fast. But anyway, we'll get into all those things very shortly. So to begin with, let's start with some history. Oliver Reginald Tambo International Airport, Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo, is an international airport owned and operated by the Airports Company of South Africa. It's situated in Kempton Park in the Gauteng region of the Republic of South Africa. It serves as the primary airport for domestic and international travel to and from South Africa, and since 2020 it is Africa's second busiest airport, with a capacity to handle up to 28 million passengers annually. The airport serves as the main hub for South African Airways and handled over 21 million passengers in 2017. The airport was originally known as Jan Smuts International, named after the former South African Prime Minister of the same name. The airport was renamed Johannesburg International Airport in 1994, when the newly elected African National Congress government implemented a policy of not naming airports after politicians. This policy was later reversed, and in October 2006 the airport was renamed Oliver Reginald Tambo Airport, after the anti-apartheid politician of the same name. So the airport was founded in 1952 as Jan Smuts International, 2 years after Smuts' death near the town of Kempton Park on the East Rand. It replaced Palmeerfontein International Airport, which had handled European flights since 1945. In 1943, a decision was made by the Cabinet of the Union of South Africa to construct 3 international airports, with a Civil Airports Advisory Committee formed to investigate the report on the viability. That report was submitted to the Cabinet in March 1944, with 1 main international airport on the Witwatersrand and 2 smaller international airports at Cape Town and Durban. South African Railways and Harbour Administration was given the role of managing the project, and later in 1944 a member went to the United States to study standards and methods of construction. 4 possible sites around Johannesburg were identified, with 1 south of Johannesburg chosen, but soon discarded due to being situated on land with gold-bearing reefs below. Sites were then narrowed down to Kempton Park and the existing airport at Palmeerfontein. Layouts and rough costing for the 2 sites were established and submitted for a ministerial decision. The site would be at Kempton Park, and it would be named Jan Smuts Airport. The area outside Kempton Park was an expropriated undulating dairy farm of 3,706 acres with a 598-acre eucalyptus plantation. Sitting on the plateau, the area sloped away towards the east and was actually drained by the Blesbok River. The airport became operational on the 1st of September 1953, and the new airport was officially opened by Minister for Transport Paul Sauer on the 4th of October 1953, having taken 8 years to build at a cost of around £6.2 million or $7.3 million US. The airport was expecting to manage 30 flights a day and over 200,000 passengers that year. Airlines using the airport at its opening were BOAC, what was then the former British Airways, Air France, KLM, South African Airways, Central African Airways, Qantas, El Al, SAS and Delta. The airport was used as a test airport for Concorde during the 1970s to determine how the aircraft would perform while taking off and landing at high elevations, known as a hot and high test. Following the ending of apartheid, the airport's name and that of other international airports in South Africa were changed and restrictions were lifted. With the creation of the Airports Company of South Africa, or ACCRA, in the mid-90s, a plan to commercialise the airport began with new passenger and retail and airside facilities to handle a large number of aircraft, completing this phase in 2004. The airport overtook Cairo International Airport in 1996 as the busiest airport in Africa and is the fourth busiest airport in the Africa-Middle East region after Dubai International Airport, Hamad International and Abu Dhabi. In the year ending 2019 saw over 21 million passengers and over 218,000 aircraft movements during that year. So there's a history for you, quite a bit. It's gone through some changes. This is another real high altitude airport as well, 5,558 feet above sea level, so it presents quite a challenge for some aircraft. Very quickly off the top of my head, the scenery is vast. They've done quite a bit here. Yes, they've used quite a bit of photo scenery, as you can see around the perimeter in this shot here. But generally it works. It looks a bit weird close up, but most of the time it works. There's a lot of building modelling, which looks good. There is some internal development, but it's mostly airside, which is good for when you're looking out of the window. Yeah, it's a real vast project. So in order to save time, I'm going to just basically tour across it and see if I can show you some of the highlights, which might help you with your decision. So I'll give you a quick list of the features. They're talking about handmade ground polygons, accurate modelled interior and exterior. Well, as I said, there is a limit on that interior modelling, and we'll look at that. Highly detailed models of all airport buildings and objects. I'll go along with that. There's quite a lot, including some static aircraft. Main airport terminal interior with lighting and custom objects. Again, it's limited, I think, really to airside. Custom built jetways with PBR texturing and animations, and optimization of level of detail. So those are the main highlights. So let's have a look at runways now. So as you can see, I've lowered the lighting down just a little bit, but enough for you to see the runways and the lighting thereupon. So OR Tambo International Airport operates two main runways. Runway 03 left 21 right, and we're looking down that now, measures 14,505 feet or 4,421 meters in length, and it's made from asphalt. Runway 03 right 21 left, which is over here, is the shorter of the two, coming in at 11,171 feet or 3,405 meters, and it's also made from asphalt. And as I mentioned earlier, the airport lies at a high elevation of 5,558 feet or 1,694 meters. Now all four runway ends feature an instrument landing system, and all four of those ILS landing systems are certified for Category 2 landings. In addition, all four ends feature high intensity airfield lighting system version 2 and precision approach path indicators on both sides of the runway. And you can see the PAPIs on both sides here. All of this is basically duplicated at the other end here and on the other runways, which we'll look at shortly. And lastly, runway 03 right and 21 left feature an RNAV approach option, whilst runway 21 right also has two VOR options as well. So here you can see the approach lighting system, no strobes, but you've got runway and identifier lights, centerline lights. The intensity airfield lighting is of the high level version 2, and there's your two PAPIs there. So let's pop down the other end and have a look at 21 right. So here we are looking down the throat of runway 21 right. You can see straight away a large displaced threshold there, but exactly the same lighting as the other end of the runway, and again the two precision approach path indicators on the right and left side. ILS equipped, and as you can see, perfectly okay. So let's pop across to 21 left. So here we are looking at runway 21 left, and again exactly the same situation. The high intensity airfield lighting system, centerline lighting, the two PAPIs, the end identifier lights, and again we're ILS equipped here. And lastly, let's go down and have a look at the other end of the runway 03 right. And here we are lastly looking down the throat of runway 03 right. And again, exactly the same situation, the same runway lighting, approach lights, precision approach path indicators, and as with the other three ends, this runway is also ILS equipped. So that pretty much does it for runways. Let's go down and have a look at jetways. There are one or two little anomalies with the jetway, and we'll discuss them. Okay, so jetway tests. So I've actually just spawned onto the stand directly from the menu, and I just want to show you what's happened. This is just me spawning onto the stand. As you can see, I've been positioned on the stand, but in such a way that my wing has gone right through that second jetway. So here's what we're going to do. Just before we test the jetway, I am going to link up the tug. And we're going to push the aircraft backwards a little bit to get it clear of the jetway, and then we'll try a jetway test and just make sure it works. This is just a little trick you might want to do this if this ever happens to you. When I looked at this scenery briefly yesterday to examine it, this didn't happen on another stand, but this is the international terminal, and this is what happened. So there's the tug linked up. So we're going to push the aircraft back just a touch to get it clear. So it's now on position 4. And you can see by this high level shot we're well clear of both jetways, but we're still clear of the driveway, airside here, and the main apron taxiway. So that would be a reasonably good parking place to position yourself. So now let's try a jetway test and see if we can get one of them to link up. Okay, it'd be interesting to see if this one actually does. It looks long enough. Right, no it hasn't. It hasn't even gone close. So the jetway doesn't work there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn the aircraft onto another stand and try that one. Okay, so here we are again, and this time we've spawned onto a stand on the main central terminal, and it looks like the positioning is okay. Once again I've attached the tug, so let's try the jetway. As you can see, Jetway works, but it's gone right through the skin. That's pretty it's not the worst I've seen, but it has really gone right through the skin. You've also got the stairwell here dragging inside the concrete. Let's have a closer look. So there you can see actually the bottom lip is where it should be, but the rest of it's gone right in through the aircraft because it doesn't curve properly, I guess. And here of course you can see the stairwell for the dispatcher and external staff has gone right in through the concrete, which is not brilliant. So here's a view from the other side. Actually the jetway doesn't look too bad. It's been nicely weathered and very, very nicely modelled. So let's just disconnect it. And there you go, jetway successfully disconnected. So the thing to do is obviously when you're parking on the international terminal, possibly with a smaller aircraft, is just be mindful of the positioning of the aircraft when it spawns. So that was a Jetways. Let's start a main tour here, and you can see there are static aircraft and there are also aircraft shadows that are still on the ground, which don't really work for me, especially if you're going to add static aircraft. But let's just gently tour across here and you can have a look at what's been modelled and the quality. The quality is actually quite good. Down there you can see the aircraft stands and the jet bridges. Here you've got the central area, multi-storey car park, hotel there on the left. Now here's the railway train that's animated. Now look at the speed of it. That really needs to slow down. That needs to be sorted out. So heading back into the airport again, here you can see the quality of the signage and the buildings. Modelling is really quite good actually as we cross into AIRSIDE. Here you can see the ground signage on the taxiways. Everything looks pretty good here. All the signs are in the right place. The quality is pretty good too, and the airfield really does look pretty much as it should do. In the distance there to the right you can see the control tower. No internal modelling on that. If we just come down here, so here you can see signage onto the runway is perfectly acceptable. Over to the right you've got static aircraft that are parked. Now this, what we're going down now, is now a taxiway. Used to be a runway which is no longer in commission. So as we cross into this area here you can see the control tower. And there's a fire station down there for access to the other runway, to the eastern runway, which we're coming up on now. And this is what we would call the fire training ground. This is where you've got your little aircraft that they set fire to once a month for practicing. And here's runway 03 right, 21 left. And as you can see, you go further east and you've got this work here, various other buildings. And again we've got photo ground here with aircraft shadows, which honestly doesn't really work for me, but there you go. So quickly touring back west again, here you can see there's more construction there not far from the tower. And the ground modelling looks really nice. It looks good. It's all perfectly acceptable. As I said, quite a bit of it is low resolution, but it does work, which is quite nice. So go down a bit lower and just slow up a bit so you can look at these models. Here we've got Airbus A340-600s with the big engines. And there you can see, I can't remember what airline that is. These are two little low-cost airlines that, I'll put the name up if I find them out, that operate out of South Africa quite a lot. Here's another 600 series. You can tell by the size of the engines. And here you've got some Cessna Caravans, some light aircraft, a couple more jets here that are parked probably for maintenance. These are maintenance facilities over here. And again, you can see the modelling on the handlers quite acceptable. No internal development in the hangars, but the external buildings here are very nicely modelled. Really no problem at all. So now we come across the display threshold of 21 right, and this is the cargo area. Coming up. Again, ground signage looks good here, big blast screen there. And again, a nice quality of buildings, lots of clutter surrounding the airport here. And the modelling is really quite nice. I think the cargo area here just sort of shows it off. It just really shows off the quality of modelling generally here. And as you look past it on the other side, you can see the road system, which is low resolution ground photo ground, but again, it's not too bad. It works and it looks good at a higher level. And that, I believe, is a hotel. But again, really nice modelling. Fences, parking, various bits of clutter. And now here, the stands here are sort of photoground, as you can see, but it looks like here it's more of sort of development still going on. Now we're coming on to some of the main stands. And some nice models here. And as you can see, the airside roadway has been done properly. It's not been left to photoground, and it works. That looks good. Here we've got construction going on. There's some shipping containers there. I apologise for some of the aircraft here that you wouldn't normally see in South Africa. But just a nice tour over the airside ramp here. This is coming up to the international terminal where we tried to park earlier. Let's just have a look here. Some nice static aircraft. And as you can see, we've got taxi lines, all the stands nicely denoted, skid marks, all looks really nice, really pleasant. It's another hotel building here. Very nicely modelled, very nice. So we're landside of the main terminal complex here. I just want to go in here, show you some of the modelling. Signage is wonderful here. You can see road signage looks good. Lower level doesn't have anything, but the upper level does. As you can see, you've still got the crane construction there. So here we've got people. The car models aren't the best in the world, unfortunately. They're not the greatest models. But this is nice and clear. Here you've got people. Okay, they're static, not animated, but that's okay. The building's been nicely modelled. Signage is good. There's the train station above us, which we'll look at in a minute. But as you can see, this is all really quite nice. Here we're coming to a couple of car models that really are pretty poor, in my opinion. But again, as you can see, this looks pretty realistic. The construction work, modelling is really good. Here you've got the ramp, we've got a slope, and we still have people. Some nice reflections on the windows. Again, you've got some really nice foliage down there too. Again, a few really poorly made car models which kind of let the place down a little bit. And as we look to the right, there are pretty much all the same cars there in that multi-story, and some of them are only sort of half done. But no problem, you know, it looks okay. You're, as a pilot, you're not going to see much of this at all. But you know, these we now know what Flight Simulator is capable of in terms of modelling terms, and making an airport and an environment look really realistic and giving it some atmosphere. And this is what this is all about. So it's not bad at all. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of modelling that's been done. Here we are coming round to landside. You know, and it looks nice. Hotels there left and right. You know, the roads are wonderfully modelled. That train system looks really good. It would be so much better if it wasn't so fast. It's travelling far too fast really to be anything like realistic, which is a real pity. Because there are sceneries with trains, so there aren't that many of them. There are airports that have aerotrains and things like this, and a handful of sceneries that do this. There's the station and there's the train, as you can see. Far too fast really. Let's see if we can pop down into the station for you. Because there is one train in there. So there's a look at the station as it appears in there. And here comes the train. As you can see, it's far too fast. It's a real pity. But there you go. So here's a high level shot, just looking landside towards the road system. Here you can see the train station here in the lower left that we just looked at, and the railway. And actually it's pretty good. The train goes all the way out to sort of here before it disappears. So this is, you know, it's a major thing really. I'd love to see them work on the speed of that train and make it much more realistic. Here it comes again. Now it's interesting because it slows and then it speeds up again. But there you go, and it's also a good example here to show you the low resolution polys on the landside road system, and how it works when you look at a higher level. Okay, so we turn our attention to the terminals again. This is the airside ramp on the international terminal. This is where I had the problem with the wing going through the jetway. Let's have a look here from airside. First of all, quality of the roads. Here you've got, I'm not sure if this is VGDS that works, Visual Guidance Docking System. I have to have a look and do a bit more research. Nothing in the features list to say that it works, but they've actually got them modelled there. And there we are looking down the road system. Again, you can see the quality of the ground markings and the roads. Pretty much every sign is where it should be. Big light stanchions above them. And looking in the other direction. All looks pretty realistic. So as you can see here from outside, we've got development inside this terminal. Let's go in and have a look. So here's a nice example of what's going on inside. You've got static people. The models are perfectly acceptable. They're a little bit squarish, but they're perfectly acceptable. You've got seating, nice views through the windows. And there we are looking through the other direction. It's a nice scene, very nice scene, lots of atmosphere. So this is the lounge at the very end, close by the runway. Nice models, no doorways or access points that I can see. And a final look across the lounge. All looks very, very nice. So here we are coming across the main terminal building. As you can see, they've got the structure correct. No internal development in these parts, but there is parallaxing on the windows, which you will see during the night time or the dusk hours when we have a look. Things do tend to come to light or come to life a little bit more at the night time or in the darkness hours. Just speed this up a bit. So here are your airside stands on the main terminal, and again the road markings, ramp markings, the clutter, oil stains, jetway hoarding, advertising, all of it looks really good. And from what I can see from my research is as per it should be in the real world. Modelling quality is excellent, no complaints at all. You know, particularly as this is what you're going to see as the pilot coming in here. It's excellent, very nice. Very quickly go down these stands here. Now you can just see from out here there's internal development on the airside part of this terminal. So the stands look really good. Let's just go up close. So here you can see internal development in this part of the main terminal. Again, it's only airside. Let's pop in and have a look. So this is very nice. Now we've got the addition of various shops and bars and restaurants, and it all looks very nice. So we'll have a little tour up here. As you can see, it's slightly lower resolution photographs on the left there to give you the illusion of the depth of the shops. They look okay, except that of course the people models are smaller than the actual people sitting in the various bars and things. But it's okay, it's the way they've done it, and it looks nice. And as I said, this does really come to life a lot more during the darkness hours. So once again we go across the ramp here and you can see the markings, nothing left to chance, it looks good. Just lots of clutter and bits and pieces here that bring this airport to life. So here we've got a couple of hangars. Again, no internal development in any of the hangar buildings, but you've got some very nice models sitting around at various locations. And the buildings are great, no complaints about the buildings at all. Here you've got a little plethora of Airbus A340-600s, and again you can tell by the engines. You've got the huge engines and the elongated body. It's a dead giveaway for the 600 series. Nice models, no complaints at all. Actually the car models look better down here. And you've got the occasional photo of an aircraft there on the ground, which really doesn't work. Here's the test area for blast screens. At the moment they're parking bits and pieces here, various models, but this is where you would do blast tests. Here's part of the fuel farm. Again, it's on photoreal ground, but as you go higher up it doesn't look so bad. And a couple more nicely modelled buildings here as well, as we come up towards the threshold of 03 left. I mean, it all looks pretty good. So as we come up there, you can see there you've got the old cross runway, which is closed, and you've got some aircraft parked there. And you've got more hangars and bits and pieces going on here on the far eastern side. Here's the control tower, the fire service station there that supports this runway and I believe somewhere up here, I think it is, there's another fire station for this area here. So there you go, that was a fairly exhausting daytime tour of what is quite a large scenery project. Let's turn the lighting down now to dusk, and let's have a look and see how the airport comes to life a bit more in the low light. Okay, just after 6:30 in the evening, and the sun is pretty much well down. This is the closest I could get it towards sunset to where the light comes up. So I've got vehicles on the taxiway here. You can see from this shot we've got blue airfield edge lights all in the right place, and we have green centerline taxiway lighting. The stand lighting looks excellent. This is really nicely lit up. Haven't seen anything enter this runway yet, which is a good sign. So let's start a tour. So first of all, here we'll start a low-level tour where we go across the runway. You get a chance to look at the markings and the lights. All of the stand identification and taxiway signs are all nicely lit. Centerline lights are excellent, as you can see there. All looks really nice, no complaints at all. And the ground lighting looks excellent, as does the buildings. So first of all, we're just going to go down here. As you can see, the lighting on the taxiways looks great at dusk. And as you can see here, we're looking in to this part of the terminal, the main terminal that we looked at a moment ago in the daytime, and as you can see, it looks really good through the glass at the low in the low light, or in the dusk, certainly at night as well. It looks really good. If we go down a little bit, so here you can see they've done a little bit of parallaxing on the glass. There's nothing in the lower part as far as I know. What this is a illusion placed on the glass. So here's a view inside. Again, it's just the airside part of the terminals where the internal development has been done. Here you can see the lovely glow from outside the windows. The lighting looks good, ceiling lighting looks brilliant. And looking in the other direction, I mean, it all looks wonderful. It's very impressive. So let's continue the tour. As you can see, the ground lighting looks fine. We come round to this part of the terminal. And if I stop here, again here we've got this parallaxing effect where you've got this illusion of things inside this terminal. There's no internal development in this part, or indeed in this part here, but you've got this same illusion type photographic thing on the windows here that makes it look really good. I'll just go in a little closer here. A nice airfield sign. Okay, so now we've got some internal here, but it's just a small part of it. And then we go back to the parallax view. But again, nice modelling on the external part, and no complaints about this at all. And it really does look the part. Again, you've got a little bit of internal modelling. Now when we come to this satellite pier bit here, you've got the parallaxing that doesn't really work because it's incredibly low resolution, unfortunately. And we've got this little bit of internal element here, which is not so well lit, and there's actually nothing inside it apart from the seats. But as you can see, the quality of lighting airside out on the ramp is really quite good. Pity about that. I mean, this could be made a lot better, but the the thing is so low resolution, it just doesn't look right. That could be improved. I think it would be great. But as you can see, in general, the lighting looks great. And again, in general, what they've managed to do, I mean, it works. As we come to the end of the terminal part here, I mean, that looks really good. I'm just really surprised that they haven't continued that kind of work on the satellite extensions. So here we are inside the building on the international pier, and as you can see, it looks really nice in the dusk hours. The lighting looks lovely. You know, there's an ambience about the place. And we look down the pier in the other direction. It's very, very nice. And here's just a quick view of the outside of the international terminal as viewed from airside. Again, you've got parallaxing going on down here. This is all beautifully modelled. These cars look a little bit better than their counterparts out landside in the main terminal. The lights look great. They provide exactly the right amount of lighting. All looks really good. So we just start a little dusk tour around some of the buildings. Here you've got one or two hotels. Again, nicely modelled. A little bit of parallaxing going on here. Which unfortunately is not quite complemented by the low resolution car parks around them. We swing back into the airport. Lots of Asobo globes about, but I'm not really bothered too much about that. As you can see, the roads look good. The quality of lighting actually looks very nice. So let's do our little road tour again. So as you can see, the lighting is lovely here. It's very perfectly adequate. And as we go down here, yeah, no complaints at all. Only the models of the vehicles really just don't do it, unfortunately. Some nice foliage and trees there to the right. And again, you've got this lovely glow here on the left where the sunset is reflecting off the glass. Very, very nice effect. Very nicely done. And here from this shot you can see perfectly adequate lighting almost everywhere. Some nice drop lights on some of the hangar buildings. Let's turn in towards these two hotels and let's have a look at the train. See if the train is lit in any way. Again, you've got this nice effect here where they paid attention to the buildings to make it look nice. There goes the train. I just wish it wasn't so fast. Some very nice little lighting here. Okay, tons of Asobo globes all over the place. But you know, I'm getting used to that in many sceneries, and it just looks really good when it's the exception in some sceneries. So there you can see the train track. There's the station, there goes the train. No lighting on the train, unfortunately. And there's an overview of the train track that continues right out there. But all in all, this looks very nice. At dusk it really comes to life in the evening time with dusk. Lovely time of the day to come into this airport. Really does look wonderful. So there's a nice shot showing you the lighting on the central area of the terminal. Taxiway lighting is good, blue lights, green centerline lights. The airfield is well lit for taxiing at dusk. So let's knock it down to night time now and have a look. Okay, 9:10 in the evening, and here you can see the light on the ramp stands is still more than adequate. You've got the green centerline taxiway lights, perfectly acceptable. You're going to have no problem getting into the airport and parking up after a landing here at night. There's a view looking landside. As you can see, not much change, although the light does come up a little bit more. You've got a great view of the railway there. Just see whether we get a train in or out. There it goes. It would be nice to see that, two things, to see that slowed down and have it lit. So a quick shot on the ramp here. Here's my aircraft parked on the stand that we looked at earlier. This is, as I said, this is night time. And you've got these nice effects on the windows. This looks better the further away you get it, but it would have been nice to see this done at the same quality that these have been done. So while we're here, quick view from the flight deck for you. Here we are, got the aircraft powered up so it doesn't look so bad. There we are looking at the front window. The view out the captain's side. And looking across the first officer's window. All looks pretty impressive, and yeah, really nice. A look across the other side there towards the runway. Again, a great lighting. Buildings look good. And looking in the other direction. So a very quick pass over this part of the terminal here, just so we can see inside. As we come up the stands, all nicely lit, as you can see. It's no problem at all here. Some really nice lighting. So here's the nighttime view looking inside the main terminal here, where we looked at before. Not much change, but again you can see when the light comes down it looks so much more effective. Okay, very quick tour up towards the cargo area here at night, just looking at the light in general. Again, as you can see, for you cargo haulers, even the stands here are nicely lit for you to be able to park up where you have to. There's that hotel on the left. Again, parallaxing makes it come to life. And here we've got some nice lighting of the tungsten variety that gives the glow on this side. All nicely lit up. And coming across the runway threshold, or the displaced threshold, have a look at the other side. There's the windsock below us. And again here, nice lighting on these buildings. Done a nice job here. Some good models, some subtle lighting. This part of the airport looks nice. It looks a bit bland during the day, but it looks better at night. Very nice indeed. So we head towards the control tower complex. So as you can see, the tower's nicely lit at the top there, and you've got the rotating radar dish on the top there too. No internal development. There's the fire station below us, which takes care of this area, and here we're going across the other runway. All a little bit dark out here, but again, if you have to operate from it, you can see signage. Green centerline lights are missing on the taxiway, which is possibly unusual. Don't know if that's the case in the real world. And here you've got this place here, these hangars and bits and pieces that are in the far eastern part of the airfield. A little bit spoilt by these ground shadows of aircraft. Would like to have seen real models down there. So it all looks really pretty good at night. Let's whack it up to dawn. Okay, 5:20 in the morning, and there you can see the buildings glowing in the early morning sunrise. It's quite a nice colouring shot actually. I think that's really quite pleasant. And looking towards the south, the fuel farm in the distance, and some other hangars and facilities down there too. Okay, so we're in the late afternoon, sort of early evening now, just to give you a full overview of the main centre part of the airport, and it's time to wrap up this review. I'm sorry it's gone on a bit long, but as you can see, it's a vast airport with lots of work gone into it. Do I like it? Yeah, I do. And a quick disclaimer, I actually bought this scenery. I wasn't given it, I bought it myself. But as ever, all the opinions and everything are my own. They've not been influenced by anybody else, so I did buy this scenery. I do like it. I have the scenery for Cape Town, and also the city scenery for Cape Town as well. And I do some flying in Africa. Some of you have seen some of my other videos, know that I've reviewed some airports in Africa and done 1 or 2 adventure flights. So this is a must-have for me, this particular airport. Do I think it's up to scratch? Yeah, pretty much it is. I have a couple of reservations about it. There's extensive use of photoground scenery. Now at this altitude it works, but as you get inside the terminal complex itself here, the low resolution scenery does sort of stick out at you a little bit. But in general, around the airport, it generally works okay, and I like what they've done. The car models are really poor. Lots of car models are really poor. I really like the train and the fact they've got the animated train. There's so many sceneries that have this that actually don't animate anything. That's brilliant. But that train needs to slow down hugely, and also I'd like to see it lit because it would look wonderful. The train station and the train, this area looks really good at dusk or at night, and it would be nice to have the train coming in nice and slowly and all lit up, and it would really make that little area. Okay, the good things, they've done internal development, but it is only airside. Some of it looks a little bit strange, but at the end of the day, from a pilot's point of view, it's not going to matter. For you coming in here, particularly at dusk or night, it's going to look great. It's plenty of lighting. You're going to need to be aware of exactly how you park on the stands because of the way the jetways work. But that looks really good. The roads are extensive, modelled in 3D, both airside and landside. Would have been nice to see the control tower complex developed a little bit as well. But other than that, you've got hotels and bits and pieces off airport that are beautifully modelled. The cargo area here is nicely done. And again, this is another airport that really comes to life after dark, in the dusk and darkness hours. And I've chosen to show you the light now at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon rather than the morning, because with the sun in this position I just think it all looks better. But yes, I like it, and I would encourage you to buy it, and certainly now that the price has come down, I mean, it's arguably for what you've got, €15 is a steal, and remember that includes VAT and tax. It's much better price. So here we go then, Johannesburg OR Tambo Airport, Republic of South Africa, Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo. It's a payware scenery by Gaffer Simulations. They're a well-known developer, and it possibly might be available on Orbix as well as SimMarket. I need to check because I know Gaffer did have an agreement with Orbix, but if I find it, I'll put it up for you. This is version 1.0.1 for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. No mention of Xbox at this time. Download 2.75 gigabytes, and it installs at 5.5 gigs, 5.66 gigs. So it's quite a large installation, and you can see why. Available from SimMarket, currently on sale there. So obviously this is where you would buy it, even if it is at Orbix, but I'll put it up. And the current sale price as of today, the 15th of November 2022, is €15.12, which equates to roughly $15.62 US, or £13.29 UK. Prices include VAT, and the US and UK prices are estimates. Bear in mind, some of the tax that you might pay will vary depending on where you are in the world when you purchase it. So really nice scenery, arguably the best one so far for this airport in South Africa. It's great, it's got everything, and I can highly recommend it. So this is Lee, your virtual airline pilot, wrapping up another review. Thank you guys ever so much for watching and for supporting my efforts. I've got over 300 videos out now, and to those people who comment and support the work that I do, thank you very much. It's really appreciated. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you're on the fence about this, I hope this has helped you decide whether to buy it, and obviously arguably this is probably the best time to buy it because of the sale price. Gaffer Simulations, if you're watching this, it's a lovely airport, you've done a great job, but there are things I think you need to sort out. Certainly the train, lower the speed and put some lights on it if you would, and maybe just improve these satellite protrusions here and use the same photograph high resolution images that you've used on this buildings. That makes this really come alive a bit more. But all in all, it's great. There's so much detail, especially on the buildings around the outer parts of the airport. Very happy to recommend it. So thanks for joining me, folks. That's the second of this week's reviews. I'm going to try and get a helicopter video out this week where we'll take the new Jet Ranger 407 Bell helicopter that's just been released in the new upgrade of Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're going to take that for a spin somewhere and see how I manage to fly it, or not, as the case may be. So thanks again, folks. Have a great week. I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye bye for now.